Hello and a very warm welcome back to Hugh's Nursery, and in today's video we're continuing with the small space vegetable gardening playlist where we'll be looking at 5 considerations you should make as you're starting or even in the middle of a small space vegetable garden. So the first thing you should consider is definitely a no-brainer, and that should be think of what you enjoy eating. You must enjoy what you eat and then grow it. I've said this before in another video, but there's really no point wasting your precious space growing something that you think is okay but you prefer a lot of other vegetables. The second thing is growing stuff that's not in the shops, and I did a really good example of this in one of my past videos where I was looking at how high value crops, if you grow them, they can save you money. So we looked at Swiss chard and how a single packet of Swiss chard can save over £100 or $180 worth of food just from a single seed packet. So if you look at things that aren't in the shops and you really like them, maybe some exotic things as well, this is a great time to just experiment and have a bit of play around with all sorts of different crop varieties. So the third consideration to make is once you've selected what sort of vegetables you want to grow, you need to look at how fast they grow or how long it takes them to mature. So you want to kind of see what sort of growing zone you're in. So for us, this is about an estimate. Our last frost is mid-May and our first frost is mid-October. So that gives us about 5 months of frost-free days where we can grow our vegetables and our produce, and a couple of weeks before and after those will be a bit too cold to grow anything. But some things that are quite quick to mature, such as radishes, they mature in about 45 days. If you plant radishes, you can quite easily get at least 3 crops from a single area where you can plant 1 crop of radishes, you can harvest them all, and then in the same space or the same bed, same container, you can plant another load of radishes, harvest them, and then another one. This is called succession planting, which maximizes and makes the most of the space that you have. So just briefly touched over succession planting, and this sort of moves me on into the 4th consideration you should make, and that's the type of planting methods that you want to use. Some really high yielding planting methods such as square foot gardening makes use of every single inch in your garden, but you should also be looking at vertical gardening as well, because vertical gives you a lot of extra space which otherwise wouldn't be used. So choose some vertical vegetable varieties. And a really good thing to make the most of this is something called intercropping, where it uses both ground plants and vertical plants to make the most of the space you have. And the oldest known style of intercropping is actually the Three Sisters approach, where there's a corn was grown, a sweet corn stems were grown, and then up these sweet corn stems, beans would climb up them and the sweet corn would act as support. And these are both very high yielding vegetable varieties and fruit varieties, and then at the base of the corn and the bean plants a squash would be planted to cover all the ground area. So this is getting the best of both worlds, both of taking the advantage of the height and also the ground cover. So the 5th and final, but certainly not least consideration you should be making is asking yourself what is the actual purpose of your small space garden. Now it may be a mix of things, or it could simply be feeding yourself, it could be looking at saving money, you might just be doing it for the fun of it or doing it for health purposes. Whatever purpose you have, you want to try and meet it. So a great example of this is if you're trying to save money, instead of just going and buying lots of pots and containers or raised beds, why don't you look on things such as Craigslist or FreeCycle, even go to your neighbours, or use old containers where you can grow your plants in for free. Or even if you're trying to feed yourself and get as much food as you can, you want to choose the highest yielding varieties. And that's going to bring me on to the next video in this series, where I'll be looking at the highest yielding vegetables and fruits that you can grow in a small space garden. These will both be ground cover and vertical, and will give you some really good ideas on what you can grow, and you'll be surprised by how much can be grown in such a little space. So thank you very much for watching. It was great to see you again. If you've just joined me, please by all means join this community by subscribing so you can keep up to date with this channel and learn how to grow organic produce inexpensively. Thanks again for watching, and see you again very soon. And remember, don't panic and grow organic. Goodbye.